Right, here we are. The Irish Abroad Show. Fire away.
Hello, yes, and welcome to the Irish Abroad Show on this Sunday evening here on Irish Football Fan TV with myself, Jared Brown, and Paul Nealon. I suppose, Paul, we could easily call it the Evan Ferguson Show this week, to be brutally honest.
Yeah, I think we're going to spend a lot of time probably talking about
Yeah,
Evan. I mean, his first career hat trick. Where do you begin? I mean, I remember when we first kind of heard about him on the scene, and we were talking on the WhatsApp group, and I think you said something about Evan Ferguson's just came on in the game against Arsenal. I was like, oh, big deal. He's only getting a couple of minutes, and then within those couple of minutes, he scored his first goal. And then we've kind of always kind of seen his progress and his steady rise just go up, 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 and in a upward trajectory ever since. And yeah, he's been absolutely fantastic. A breath of fresh air. He's the type of striker that Ireland fans have been longing for so long now. And here he is, and he's absolutely world class. I mean, the goals he's scoring all different types of goals for a striker, and yeah, just he has it all. Like he can hold up play, he can bring other players into it. But he's got that hunger in front of goal where he's greedy. I spoke about it on one of the games before, where it was I think it was the first goal of the Premier League season this year, where he just showed that
yeah,
determination to get on the end of the cross, which wasn't even for him, but he just showed the determination to get there and finish off the chance. And then there's times where he's not selfish and you play other players in, and he's a perfect link-up player. So I just think, like even Desarby said after the game, like he's going to be big, like really big, and I can see him going for mega money. And I'm running out of things to say about him every week because just when you think he can't do any better, he goes and does that. Like I mean, Newcastle are a Champions League team. They're playing the Champions League this year. Um, Not many strikers will do that against Newcastle this season, and yeah, I suppose he saved his best form for after the transfer window. Because I think if he scores that hat trick last week, I think he's gone on deadline day.
yeah, good possibility. And like, so probably should have said that by talking about Evan Ferguson, obviously leans us in to talk about the Premier League. I suppose as well, just two things as well. You were saying like around about I was talking about two things that kind of caught my eye was obviously just kind of how well he spoke and how calm and mature he is in front of the camera. That interview with Jamie Carragher, not Jamie Carragher, Jamie Redknapp and Karen Carney yesterday in Sky Sports after the game. But another thing that kind of struck me as well from actually when they were talking to Billy Gilmore and the way he was kind of saying that they're asking like what to work like to work under Roberto Zari. He's kind of just saying like he's just constantly on your back, just always demanding the best, won't let the kind of standards kind of sit. And I was kind of thinking to myself with Evan's situation being so young, and if there's ever a scenario situation where you got a little bit kind of big headed, big cocky or anything else like that, I'm pretty sure that his manager wouldn't be long giving him a kick up the arse and like probably wouldn't be long taking him out of the team as well. And you talk about deadline day and stuff like that. You wonder as well the bit of business that Brighton did, bringing your man in on loan. I can't remember his name off the top of my head from Barcelona. Even how much that could have
Ansu
influenced
Fati.
Evan. Yeah, Fashy. You wonder how much that kind of would have influenced Ferguson. Like, oh, is my place on the tray here? Like, I better really step up and do something here and get the perfect answer as well. And even just today, before they signed off on Super Sunday, like, kind of asking the panel about the weekend's results and obviously touched on Brighton and Dave Jones talking to Roy Keane saying he's a special talent, and even the fact that Gary Neville's making the joke saying like, "Oh, but he's switching to Clare for Ireland or to England and stuff like that." But the fact that the English pundits are even making this joke, that they obviously, I think it's their kind of way of saying that they really acknowledge and really respect what a talent he is, and he's actually the one thing. The fact that he's still technically eligible for England for another 4 days until Thursday night when he's 100% tied down. But for all the talent in the world that England have coming through, they don't have someone like a Ferguson. They don't have a brilliant striker that's coming up, and they know the Harry Kane's days are limited, and that like when he goes, there's no one really stepping up to fill the void. So they probably would only love if Ferguson had a change of heart, but it's not going to happen. And to touch on with the weekend as well, he only becomes the fourth Irish player to score a hat trick in the Premier League after Robbie Keane, Leon Best, and the last man to do it, John Walters, back in 2015. He's only I think the fourth ever teenager. Um, as well, I think Robbie Fowler, Michael Owen, and I can't remember who the other lad was for Sheffield Wednesday. But even like, he's up to 4 goals already for the season. He got 10 last season, all competitions. He's nearly halfway there already. And as well, it's only just over 12 months ago since he got that first senior goal. So 14 goals in just a little over a year for an 18-year-old. Like, in reality, 99% of people his age back home just received their leaving cert results last week or the week before, about to start college. And here he is absolutely tearing up in the biggest sport, in the hardest league in the world.
Yeah, I mean but how good is it to have a Premier League striker who now when we go into games and we can go, well, we were always in with a chance. Now we've got Evan Ferguson playing
Yeah,
for us. It's not like, oh, we might nick a set piece and we actually have a genuine threat, a
yeah.
genuine danger man to to get to use as a target man, but also that if you can get the ball up there, he'll make it stick. He'll bring others into play, and there's a good chance if you can get the ball into that area, he will likely get you a goal. I mean, he's lethal in the box, and he saw his goal. He's been trying that kind of shot for a while, I think, and it finally paid off. The second goal, he's been trying a couple of them long ranges just outside the box, and he obviously got one yesterday as part of his hat trick. So, I mean, that's the thing. He can strike from distance. We've seen that video of him doing that knuckleball first time. He just buried the top bins. It was all over social media when he did it. I think he was doing it with the F2 or something, or one of those pages. And he just seems to have everything. I'm sure, like, if he was to take free kicks and stuff like that, I'd say he'd be similar to Harry Kane, where he'd score free kicks. And I'm not sure if he's even on penalties yet. But I'm sure he will be soon enough. And if he is, then that's going to add more goals to his tally as well.
Yeah, I don't think Brighton have actually had a penalty this season, and they're recognised scorer and top penalties. McAllister from last season, he's obviously gone now as well. But yeah, like, I think as you mentioned earlier when we first talked about him, like, we've seen his kind of graph rise ever since that goal against Arsenal on New Year's Eve last year. But at the same time, we've been on here saying, it's important not to get too kind of carried away just yet. He's still only 18, still kind of learning the game. And we've seen this before with certain other players, and maybe for instance like someone like Aaron Connolly, who's obviously shown a little bit of a rebirth this season, was good to see, but it hasn't quite fully happened. We're kind of like, let's be careful. I think in this case now we could be 100% safe in saying let's just get carried away, because like it does look like he really genuinely is going to be the real deal. You talk about Harry Kane, like, if we could add penalties and free kicks to his game, like his second finish was literally just like looking at Harry Kane, like even the way he kind of drops into the space, the turn, and just the way he even strikes the ball, it was very much Harry Kane-esque, really, wasn't it? And like even here, like Mika Richards, sorry, Gary Lineker and Ian Wright and Match today, that's not even saying there's a touch of Haaland in this game.
Yeah, well, like, I think I think I don't want to compare him to anybody. I want him to be kind of his own player, and then other players can be compared to him, type thing. I want him to kind of be his own identity, where like he's not just kind of pigeonholed as, he's a Haaland type, he's this, he's that. I see similarities to Harry Kane. He said himself that he used to watch Harry Kane and try to be like him, so I would say there's a part of that he brings into it. He's just a fantastic talent, and we're very, very lucky to have him. And I'm hoping players like Andrew Moore now can step up, and then in the next couple of years you might see him and Evan linking up. But the likelihood is that one of them will probably leave Brighton, and for mega money.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe two of them potentially. Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like with Evan, if this becomes a regular occurrence, like February, only at the start of September, 4 games in, 4 goals. That's a ratio of one per game already. Like the 22nd start. There's a highly good chance I think he will be gone next summer. I would prefer him to stay at Brighton just for his own development, but goal scorers are hard kind of got. And it's, as I think Gary Neville regularly occurs, it's the hardest part to do in football, and that's why there's so much big money, and that's why they're fighting important. And if he continues to knock in goals for fun this season, I think he probably will be gone next year as well. Obviously, look, it depends how Brighton get on. Like they have a tough Europa League. By Europa League standards, that's a tough group. Like, so that'll be a good test from playing against the likes of Ajax and Marseille, and obviously going back to Athens as well as face AEK. But like I'd be confident enough that Brighton should get out of that group in some way, shape, or form and playing European football after Christmas. But it's gas, like I said to one of my mates, I said, like, if you get 15 goals this season in all competitions, because I felt like he probably over exceeded last season. I'd be pretty happy. He's nearly the third of the way there. We're only at the first international break of the season.
Yeah, he's ridiculous. Is he the Premier League's top goal scorer at the moment? He probably
No,
could
I
be.
was just thinking that myself earlier, but I'm pretty sure already the Haaland, I think, has 7 goals this
Ah,
season, if my memory
I
serves me
forgot about that
correct.
freak.
But he at least has 6 because he got obviously got 3 yesterday, one last week against Sheffield United. And I think he got 2 in the open day against Burnley. But yeah, he's definitely in the top 3 or
I
4,
think he
obviously
only
as
got
well.
one because he was just brought on the 12th minute. He hit the post and then scored.
Yeah, and
So,
obviously Son was obviously I think could potentially have 4 as well. I can't say it starting off the top of my head.
well, he's up and
But yeah, he's
around there,
definitely
which
up.
is good to see.
He's up and around there exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Someone come in there, the Irish Republicans says, "Why is everyone comparing Fergie to Keane? I'm comparing him to Messi."
I wouldn't compare him to Messi at
That
all.
is, it was a joke.
Okay, sorry.
Um,
Didn't pick up the meme. It's late. Sorry, I'm a bit tired.
well, I imagine it's a joke. But yeah, huge compliment that is. A few people are coming into the comments and they're just talking about. I found it strange how Kenny didn't include Omar Bamidele, but then calls him in once his move to Forest came, and then
But I wouldn't think that's the reason why he was called up.
no, it's because Egan was out.
Yeah.
Who played against Everton? I didn't actually watch that game. I was out at a Legends game with the Manchester United Legends, so I actually was watching bits and parts of the games. I did see Egan take a knock, but he did continue on the game, and then I think obviously whatever happened, it's ruled him out since.
Yeah, it's disappointing. It's a big blow. It's a big loss because I think Egan you would have expected to saw him there. It's been a bit of a difficult kind of start to the season from the season. I touched on the last one was on the show 2 weeks ago. I think he could struggle a little bit this time in Premier League. Just the fact he's that little bit older, and the fact he's had a couple of years away from Premier League, and we're seeing already with the 3 promoted teams, like the step up in the Championship is a big goal. But you would have expected he would have been the type of defender we would have needed definitely for. Thursday night would have been backs against the walls kind of type job. But like you said, with Omar Bamdeli coming in, like I would say the reason he was originally left out of the squad was because he's not played that much football with Norwich this season. Where Shane Duffy's been irregular. Like Darrell Lennon, even though Middlesbrough are struggling big time, has been irregular. So these type of players are all kind of coming ahead of them. But I still don't even know if I'd start Omar Bamdeli to be brutally honest, just given the fact that like the lack of football is played. And I think Duffy, although what he's had an odd blip here or there for Norwich this season, I think is definitely going to start just because of experience. I think he'll suit that type of game. Collins is going to start, O'Shea is going to start. Obviously, what we're going to do with right ring back, I wouldn't be surprised if Kenny goes with Alan Brown. I suppose look, that's a debate maybe for a podcast later in the week. But what else? I was just distracted there for a
Manning
second.
probably.
Yeah, I expect Manning. Well, you don't really know. There could be a certain other veteran that I wouldn't be one bit surprised if he starts out with loyalty, but we'll be careful what we say there. But yeah, like the Egan is definitely going to be a loss for Thursday night as well. Like, and obviously, even just touching on other games in the Premier League as well. Like Doherty, obviously, he's suspended for the game on
2 games.
Thursday. I was suspended for there you go. Like, but even still, like he would have came into his camp pretty raw anyway because
Well,
he didn't
see,
again
sorry,
feature.
Jer, but see the way he's suspended for 2 games. Why is he in the squad?
Well, I thought he was just suspended for the France game. I didn't fully when I seen the article say for instance 42. It just mentioned the France game. Obviously, I didn't couldn't read it because
Well, Stephen
it was
Kenny
behind. It
came
was
out and
all. It
said
was
something about. I wasn't at the press
okay.
conference, but he said something about it's been two games. So I'm just a bit baffled why he's in the squad.
Yeah, and
He
you'd
can't
wonder then
play.
why someone else maybe hasn't been called up. Like for instance, maybe
Well, maybe that's why
Dan
McLean is in
McNamara.
the squad. Because remember he said that he's called up 3 left wing backs.
Possibly, yeah. I suppose look, it's one of them. The time will only tell as we get closer and closer. Kind of to Thursday, I suppose you would have said something like Dan McNamara would have been the natural kind of replacement, but he hasn't played as much with Millwall this season. He hasn't started. I don't think didn't start the weekend anyway, and it's a big ask to throw him straight in against arguably the best team in the continent, if not one of the best teams in the world as well. It really would have been a baptism of fire. So it will be interesting to see. Just the only thing I kind of think he might go with Alan Brown is because I've seen Brown play there before in the past with
He was
Preston in the
good against
Championship.
Scotland there, yeah.
Yeah, like he's done even the games with Preston now. I know it's 2-3 seasons ago with Preston, but he done a pretty good job. And like I think we both be honest, we're not Alan Brown's biggest fans. But in fairness to him, he never really kind of lets down Ireland. Like, you know that you get kind of 100% out of him, and this
Scores
kind of type of
goals.
game. Score goals, exactly. And even though I don't expect that to be very much his role, even if he does play Thursday night, but you know that you'll get a good, solid committed performance out of him. So we're definitely going to need at the back if we're going to keep the French quiet and have any chance of getting a positive result on Thursday night.
Yeah, well, I think you said it there, but let's kind of be on a bit of a positive. I know Nathan Collins got an assist for Brentford, so
A great assist as well.
that's something good to talk about, and he'll likely start for us, um, beside uh, beside Duffy, and I'd say likely Darrow O'Shea.
Yeah. Do you think just from Collins, obviously disappointed that he was dropped from the Brentford team, but I think realistically speaking, that was probably always going to happen here. I think he probably only started this couple of games start season because Ben B was injured. I think the only thing is it happens to coincide with him making a mistake that led to Crystal Palace's goal the previous week, but I think Ben B was always kind of going to come back in. But it was similar to, it's kind of like deja vu for him, isn't it, really? Because he only seemed to get a chance at Burnley early on because either one of me or Tatoski got injured. So it looks like it kind of could be the same way, but he was able to nail down the place. But the fact he comes on, plays a brilliant ball over the top that puts it right
And
in
Bamo.
Bremo's foot that leads him to go on to get the equaliser. Would definitely kind of help and strengthen his case. But he's played, he started 3 games, came on the last day. I wouldn't be too worried about him at all for Thursday. He's had plenty of football under his belt.
Actually,
Darryl O'Shea, it
Kenny's
was
loyal to him.
yeah, and rightly so because he is. We talk about like Savannah Moore and kicking on the next couple of years. I think over the next 5 or 6 years, he's going to be this. He's going to be the pillar at our centre back in the likes of Egan and Duffy. Move on, and you imagine inside the next campaign or two. For Darrell Shea, it was a tough afternoon in general for Burnley yesterday. Again, I've only seen the highlights of match today, but I wouldn't say they went in on him, but he kind of was highlighted for being quite at fault for their first goal. I think he got kind of ball watching a little bit. He got sucked in towards the player within the ball. I can't remember who it was for Tottenham. Could have been Madison, where maybe he should have been looking to Son, who plays a simple pass, and Son has all the time in the world to give a nice, deft, composed finish. But Burnley in general seems to be completely overrun in that game, especially kind of in midfield. Tottenham were able to get through quite a lot easily, which probably mightn't say a lot either for Josh Cullen, but he did chip in with a nice little assist as well. A lovely little pass into, I can't remember who got Burnley's second goal yesterday. I think it could have been
Brownhill, I think.
Brownhill. Yeah, it was. I think it was Brownhill. That was the name that was on my top of my head. But again, I suppose look, the most important thing from an Irish point of view is they've been playing regularly over the last kind of couple of weeks, and again, their players have never really kind of let us down. You know what you get from them over the next kind of couple of weeks. But like the only thing I think with Burnley is it's been a difficult start to the season. They've had 3 games, albeit all 3 at home, but they've get hit against either teams who finished in Europe last season or probably going to finish in Europe this season. It's been a bit of a chasing experience, but I think like it probably has sinked in a little bit more. I think it's going to be more of a relegation battle than this kind of comfortable mid-table position that people predicted with Burnley last season. I think people got carried away with the championship, and this is where I go back to. I think we're now realising how massive a step up was. I think if you want an indication of what it's going to be like for Burnley this season, Man City tanked them 6-0 in the FA Cup last year, so there was the warning lights before the season even started.
Yeah, well, I, I'm kind of happy to see Burnley struggle a little bit as an Everton fan because
Yeah,
Everton need to keep teams around them like Burnley, Sheffield United, and all those teams to stay in the division. And obviously, there's a bit of interest there, I'm sure, for Irish fans with Seamus Coleman being there. I know he's still out for a few more weeks, but he'll be back in there soon, I'm sure. And Everton are really missing him at the moment. I think his leadership has been really missed. And yeah, I think it's going to be interesting getting him back on the pitch. And I can't wait to actually see him back. And then hopefully he'll be back in the Ireland squad soon as well. But Burnley themselves, maybe when Michael Obafemi comes back and he can hopefully get back scoring and doing well in the Premier League as well. But
you
I
think he'd
mean,
get back into the team because it didn't seem to work out for him when he went down the second half. So for whatever reason, he never really got going in the team at all. There was a couple of times he was even an unused sub. I'm not fully sure if company will throw him straight into the fire line, to be brutally honest.
yeah, but they signed him on a permanent, so I imagine that
Yeah,
he sees him. And I'm sure after leaving Southampton the way he did, he probably has a point to prove that he can do it in the Premier League. And he was scoring in the Premier League more than any of our strikers at the time. Probably him and Aaron
was, yeah.
Connolly more so than anybody else. I know they weren't scoring on the regular or probably having a regular run of games, but they were scoring in fairness. So
Yeah, like you said, we've seen glimpses of what he could do in the Premier League. It's probably just the lack of kind of consistency and maybe kind of keeping fit. But like he definitely scored, as you said, maybe 4 or 5 goals. Like nothing to really set the Pulse's rating, but as you said, more than kind of anyone else. And there was even a couple of games. I remember him away to Arsenal one day. He didn't score, but I remember he set up a penalty. I think even his debut against Manchester United, he was a nightmare as well. And like I said, if you can get back fit and get back sharp and get back to the open family that I said we've seen the glimpses of in the Premier League, and he's now an older, more mature player, that hopefully kind of will happen from. But like I said, I just have my kind of fears and concerns. The fact that even when everything was done and dust for Burnley last season, that he still didn't kind of throw him in games and he had not to play for. But look, as you said, he was signed permanently. He's not just signed permanently there just to make up the numbers on matchday squads and keep the bench kind of warm. He certainly won't. That certainly won't be his ambition anyway. Maybe just lastly as well, Paul, before we finish up in the Premier League, because probably the only other bit of information was once again Chinozie Benny was sprung as a late sub for Luton, kind of a common trend here. He did start the League Cup game against Gillingham last week, but he came on I think for the last 12 minutes of normal time, whatever injury time. And there are 2-1 defeat to West Ham. They nearly pulled it back towards the end. They obviously got that late goal and could have had a penalty shout. He was involved in one chance. He put a cross and probably overhit it, but luckily enough, whoever was on the far side was it, managed to keep it alive and got a bit of a chance out of it. But probably the most encouraging showing from Luton so far, obviously showing how difficult a place Kenilworth Road would be. It's probably the most competitive they're going to be, but like it's going to be a difficult season for them. But I do think it's one of those where eventually I think he will get a chance to start. I think he will come into the team. I do think, in fairness to Rob Edwards, you have to respect him. He is going to remain loyal to as many of them players as possible that got them promoted.
Yeah, but I just don't think that Luton are going to do much this season.
No, I don't. I'd be shocked if you get 20 points. I think there'll be a Derby County, but maybe slightly better.
Yeah, so I like I regarding this game time and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a bit annoying, but like what can you do? Sorry, I'm just trying to fix up the comments and gone crazy there. They've gone out of the little square box there. Done. Sorry about that. There. Yeah, sorry. Oh, Benny. Yeah, look, maybe if he does well for Ireland against France and Netherlands, and I know sometimes the international break can be used as a way of players playing themselves back into form. Kind of used to happen more so with Conor Howrahan for Mick McCarthy used to always do that and bring him in and give him minutes, and with the hope that that would get him back into the Villa side. I'd say that would be similar to Ogbene. If he comes in and does well, like we might need him to play right wing back to be able to contend with the pace of Mbappe. I don't think he will, but he might just be put there. I know he was deployed as a kind of a right-sided player when we played France the last time with Seamus Coleman, and he helped him keep Mbappe quiet. Two of them had Mbappe in their pocket. So yeah, if he ends up having a good game out of that, again, it's probably more minutes if he can start a game maybe and play the whole game or a large part of it. Then you never know when he goes back. Then if the manager's seen enough from him at Luton, then he could go, you know what? Well, you've done well over the international break, so I trust you now to come in and play your part. So that's what I think will happen. But I think it was one we didn't touch on. Is that Andrew Bambadetti is signed for Nottingham Forest on deadline day. We didn't really speak about him. He's been called up to the Ireland squad since because of a John Egan injury. So yeah, it's one that makes sense. And Duffy will probably come in as the main leader and probably be the captain now. And Bambadetti will be, I think, one of the. He'll either start him because he really likes him, or I think he'll bench him. But I don't think he's just there to make up the numbers. I don't think he'll be pulled out of a matchday squad. I think if he's there, he's going to be used. So look, it's we're blessed in that area that we can bring in centre halves, and you could almost argue that Bamidele might be a better centre back than John Egan in some case. I don't think he is, but I'd say some people might think he is. I do think Andrew's going to be an unbelievable player. But again, it's great to have another Premier League centre back. I wish it was more Premier League strikers and creative midfielders, but it is what it is. So yeah, look at with the whole Luton thing, I think they'll go down as well. But it'd be nice to see Chido's get some minutes. But what was your thoughts on Andrew Bamidele in terms of moving to Forest and probably the being called up. I think like he had to have been called up. It was strange that he was even
Yeah,
omitted anyway.
I think again, I think as I do say, I think it was just a bit just from the lack of game time with Norwich, and you wonder how much that lack of game time, that the fact that there was a move always kind of in the pipeline, and thankfully it finally kind of happened. Yeah, like I said, look, any time to have an Irish player back in the Premier League is really, really good. Like we haven't really seen much of Andrew, unfortunately, in the Premier League because that one season with Norwich, he spent most of it kind of out injured, but there was glimpses where you could see he was really good. And like he only broke into the team towards the back end of the previous season. He was still only a teenager. Now he's had a little bit more older, a little bit kind of more mature. We've seen even when he was thrown into the fire line for his Ireland debut against, definitely his competitive debut against Portugal, like how able he was able to adapt. Just the only thing I'd be slightly concerned about is just the team he's joined to Nottingham Forest. They're a bit like Chelsea. I think they kind of have players for the sake of having players. Like they've signed 13 players in total this window after signing 30 last year, 7 on deadline day. They're not short on defensive options. Like I think it's one of those. I think he might have to buy his time a little bit to get into the team, but Steve Cooper does seem to be a good manager to encourage and give young players kind of a chance. I don't see any reason you can't say that the likes of Scott McKenna, Joe Laurel, that like pound for pound are better players than are better defender than Andrew. But like I think obviously the fact they've credited the bank in terms of Forest, but I think he'll get there. But I think it could be one of them. He just might have to buy his time to get into the team.
Yeah, well, look, let's see how he goes. A few people are saying that Liam Scales was quality today in the Old Firm. I didn't see the match, but good to hear that he's doing well and starting a few games here and there, which we all want to see.
Yeah, I kind of had that in my notes, but I thought we'd kind of
Well, we
come
can
to
talk to about it
Scotland.
now. I'm just saying that someone had mentioned it. That's
Yeah,
all.
yeah. To be honest, I was actually kind of surprised that they started to look at the team. So he got a bit of a hop, but then when I looked into it a little bit more, I did see he actually started last week's game against St Johnson, so it wasn't like he was brought straight out of the cold, which I kind of thought initially. Yeah, I've seen a lot of stuff online that look very, very good. His kind of stats and stuff like that. A couple of social media posts as well were really encouraging. I don't know whether it was the official Sky Sports man of the match or kind of like a Celtic kind of man of the match, something like that. But he was given a man of the match. And I found as well player ratings from the Glasgow Herald said like he'd done very, very well. Obviously, had a couple of shaky moments. I think it was his first time to start an Old Firm, so you can imagine away in Ibrox as well. Not an easy place to go for a Celtic player. But I think by all accounts, they said as well he had a good game, which is good to kind of see because it looked like his Celtic career, despite the fact he featured quite a lot in pre-season. And I was chatting to a couple of Celtic fans I know over here in Malta, and they were optimistic that he would get back into the team. And then you see he's not involved in the first few games, and you're thinking, oh God. But it looks like his Celtic career could finally hopefully take off again. And obviously he's got Champions League football to look forward to as well. Like it's not the hardest of groups for Celtic in terms of possibly trying to sneak a Europa League place. Like, so it'd be great to see if he can perform on the biggest stage, and who knows, maybe for later squads, he could be someone that's in Stephen Kenny's kind of mind. I think if the Old Firm happened to be yesterday and he put in that style of type of performance, it would have been very interesting to see would he have came into Stephen Kenny's radar. Probably not. I still think he would have been behind the pecking order of Andrew. But yeah, it's good to see for him because it looked like after a promising start at Celtic, it looked like it was going to be a failed move and not happen from. But it looks like he's kind of got rejuvenation and a second chance, which is great to see.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think he's a fella you want to see do well. Obviously, he was so good at Rovers when he went into that left wing back role. He was brilliant, and he was scoring crackers every week for Shamrock Rovers. And then obviously got to move to Celtic because their owners are linked. So I think they saw an opportunity for a player there. He went to Aberdeen last year, had a bit of a mixed season. Um,
Mm.
so I think he learned a lot from that. Hopefully Brendan Rodgers seems to really rate him. So if he can continue to keep picking him, that's great, and there's a good chance then that we might actually have an Irish player doing well at Celtic for first time in a while. Hopefully Mikey Johnson comes back from injury and does well as well. But yeah, we'll move on, I suppose, to the championship. I know we kind of got sidetracked there with the. Oh, sorry. Just someone came in, finest adversary, came in and he said he missed the Gibraltar game. We're obviously talking about Doherty. The French game would be his second game. Should be able to play against the Dutch. Okay, so that makes sense.
That's it. That kind of cleared up anyway. So
Thanks for that.
yeah, championship as always. We'll have to get through here because it's the league that has most of our players in. So just give a rundown of who done what, and then we can pick 2 or 3 talking points from it, Paul, then afterwards. So Mark Sykes, even sorry, played a key part for Bristol City in their 2-1 win over Swansea, scoring one and setting up the other. Max O'Leary and Jason Knight, who actually voted Bristol City's Player of the Month for August, also played every second in this game, and all three of them came in for strong ratings from Bristol Live. O'Leary getting 7 out of 10, Knight getting up the same figure, and Sykes getting 8 out of 10 as well. It was a day to forget, though, for Gavin Bazunu, Ryan Manning, and Will Smallbone at Southampton, as they were trashed 5-0 by Sunderland yesterday. I'm sure it's something we'll talk on maybe in a few minutes, but if I'm to be brutally honest, from having watched this game, Gavin definitely could have covered himself in a lot more better glory for at least 3, if not actually 4 goals, to be brutally honest. I just think he's shot in confidence at the moment. But in the positive news in this game, Will Smallbone, probably back from injury earlier than expected, did complete 80 minutes in his return from injury. So that's obviously a good news from an Irish fan's point of view. Scott Hogan missed a penalty in Birmingham City's 1-1 draw at home to Millwall. Hogan, along with Kevin Long, played the 90 minutes in this game for the Brums, while Dan McNamara played the last 16 minutes for the Lions, as we touched on earlier, not getting as much game time as previous seasons this season so far. Dan, Jack Taylor, Ipswich Town, and Mark McGuinness, Cardiff City, were both involved as Ipswich came from 2-0 down to beat Cardiff 3-2. Taylor came off the bench inside the last quarter, while McGuinness started this contest for Cardiff. Jason Lumley played 87 minutes in West Brom's 2-1 defeat at home to Huddersfield. Will Keane was the hero for Preston by scoring a brace in their 2-0 victory over Stoke City that sent him to the top of the table heading into international break. Alan Brown played 90 minutes, while Greg Cunningham played 8 minutes in this contest as well for Preston. While on the losing side, Mark Travers, Luke McNally, and Enda Stevens all featured for Stoke. No surprise, Keane came in for a lot of praise after the game. The Lancashire Post gave him their man of the match a 9 out of 10 rating, and also a good praise as well for Alan Brown, giving him an 8 out of 10 rating, saying playing a real captain's role. Shane Duffy and Adamida both played for Norwich City in their 2-1 defeat away to Rotherham. Duffy played the whole game, while Ida was taken off with 14 minutes to go. Finis Az got his first goal of the season as Plymouth recorded an impressive 3-0 victory over Blackburn Rovers. On the Blackburn contingent, it was good to see Andrew Moore make his first league start after signing last week. Sammy Smollocks also started, while Tom Broxham came off the bench in this game for Blackburn. The Plymouth Herald gave Azaz a 7 out of 10 rating. Sinclair Armstrong played 71 minutes in QPR's 2-0 victory away to Middlesbrough, in which Darrell Lenihan lined out for the home side. And Aaron Connolly got his first start of the season for Hull City as they ended Leicester City's 100% record with a 1-0 victory that sees them climb into the playoff places. Cyrus Christie and Sean McLaughlin also came off the bench in this game for the Tigers. So I suppose, Paul, probably the big thing to take away from that is Southampton and their
Yeah, it's saying, but on YouTube it's not actually noticing us. I think we might just have to call it a day on that. For fuck's sake.
Alright.
Yeah, that's shit.